All right, meeting is up, Ron. Okay.
Are you muted and video muted?
Negative. You want that done? Okay.
Testing, testing.
You are testicles. There you go.
There you go.
Oh, and the mayor's joining us as well. Excellent.
All right, we got to talk business. How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Fantastic. Fantastic. Let me actually just step away from the camera for a second.
You got it. Let me ask a quick question, Cochran. Hey, Ron.
Yeah, so right now, all four panels are showing, that's okay, or one screen? You think that's only your view, I think at home, they're on TV one. Yeah, I mean, I'm still on. I'll have to, hold on. Put on that green shield for me, so I can get that.
And then pull again. Oh, green shield. Want me to send you the link real quick?
No, I'm gonna read it right now.
Hey, Ron.
Hello.
Hi, Matt.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Other way around.
I'm excited about this.
No doubt. No doubt. We're getting there.
Thank you, gentlemen. Yep, just had to get that set up with Ron. Excellent. We have people joining us.
People want to see us?
We set this up well, Matt. Everyone's excited to hear what you have to say.
Love it. First time people have listened to me in a while.
All right, we have 1 minute. All right, I'm going to go ahead and begin. We have a number of participants joining us. So welcome to the Reimagining Retail Post-COVID. My name is Kevin Duffy, and I'm the Strategy and Business Development Officer for the City of Malden. Today's seminar, the first of three, is brought to you by the Mass Gaming Commission. Today's focus will be on reimagining your retail using cleaning protocols to enhance customer safety. Second seminar will be on alternative revenue streams. And our third seminar will handle questions coming from the first two seminars on overcoming obstacles to implementation. Without further ado, it is my pleasure at this moment to introduce the mayor of our fine city, Mayor Gary Christensen.
Thank you so much, Kevin. And good morning, everyone. And I just wanted to take this opportunity to not only welcome you, but to also say thank you for hanging in there with us all over this past year. And I can't say enough about our team, Kevin Duffy, our Business Development Officer, Debbie Burke, the Executive Director of the Malden Redevelopment Authority, and Evans Petrini, who is the Senior Planner for the MRA as well, to come together to host these seminars that will be happening over the next several months. You would think after the year we had, everybody would take a deep breath before getting right back into it, but that's not the style of Kevin, Debbie, and Evan. So I really want to say thank you to them. Thank you to the Mass Gaming Commission for giving us this opportunity to be able to do this. And then I really want to say thank you to Matt Urban, who's Matt Urban Marketing, customer service expert, who's going to really help us navigate our way forward out of what has been a very, very difficult year. So again, on behalf of the city of Malden, I can't say it enough how appreciative we are of your efforts during the pandemic. And now, without further ado, let's now move forward. So thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to give a little bit more background on Matt, Matt is a Malden kid who went off to the big city of New York City. He developed expertise in customer experience and digital marketing. And we are very fortunate he's returned home to open his own company, Matt Urban Marketing. So, ladies and gentlemen, your webinar presenter, Matt Urban.
Thanks so much, Kevin. And thank you, Mayor. It is an absolute pleasure to be here this morning with all of you. And I appreciate your time, and we will get right into it. Kevin, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Thank you, Matt.
Okay. Now let's see here. Let me get my emails out of here. And all right. Can you see the screen?
Affirmative.
Perfect. Perfect. So hello and good morning, everybody. Once again, I really thank you so much for your time and joining us today. I know it's taken a chunk out of your morning, and we really, really appreciate it, as well as your efforts to really bounce back after an extremely tough year of 2020. We don't have to dwell too much on it because today's really about looking forward. And as part of the initiative to help businesses get consumers back in our businesses, I'll be taking you through today what we are calling Reimagining Retail, using service design to help implement new safety procedures in a post-COVID economy. So by the end of this session, you should be able to understand a concept that I've been working on a lot lately, which is called service design. And we'll actually be able to create a service design blueprint together, which is really a plan of action and really thinking and collaborating with our teams on ways that we can make consumers feel safe in today's post-COVID world. I'll talk about why it's important, as well as what we're seeing. It's very important to be looking towards the end of the tunnel with this pandemic, and service design is going to be so crucial for getting businesses back on track and in a profitable way. But first, I want to introduce myself. I know Kevin had mentioned a little bit about it. My name, once again, Matt Urban. I'm an expert digital marketing consultant, born and raised here in Malden, class of 08. I currently work for a giant media company based out of New York City called USA Today Network. And I help local businesses all over the country grow their awareness within their local communities and acquire new customers using online strategies. I also, as of last year, and with the help of Kevin Duffy, had started my own marketing consultancy here in Malden called Matt Urban Marketing, where I coach businesses on using online strategies to get the most out of their marketing budgets. Now, in my spare time, if you want to call it that, I also go to school for what's called user experience design. And this is really going to be the focus of today's discussion. For you at home that don't know what exactly UX design is, it is a thought or a school of thought that focuses on the interaction between real human users, just like you and me, and everyday products, services, such as websites, apps, even coffee machines. And it's an extremely varied discipline, which means it combines aspects of psychology, business, market research, design, and technology. So with all that said, I'm really excited to be here. And I'm really doing this because I love building successful businesses. So let's do that together. And I started doing this actually back in 7th grade. This is a picture actually at the corner of my household, my childhood house. And I used to sell, my first business ever was selling newspapers at the intersection of Highland Ave and Fellsway East. As you could tell, it was very tiring, and we did long hours on Sundays, 7 a.m. to noon, rain, snow, sleet, wind, and once in a while shine here in New England. Although it was tough, being up so early while all my friends in 7th grade were sleeping in and doing all the fun stuff, I got some real hands-on experience running my own business, where I actually learned the fundamentals, generating revenue and tips and commission, building customer relationships, right? But having recurring customers, managing inventory. And then the most important thing was always learning. I am a sponge. I love learning more and more about business and how to make it successful. And as of at this age, I also learned how quickly you have to adapt, which in 2021 is a lesson that we've all had to learn, whether it was the hard way or not. So that's why I wanted to introduce you to service design. Now, for right now, I'm just going to go into it, and I want you to keep an open mind. But really, service design is the act of designing, aligning, and optimizing an organization's operations to support the customer journey. That's why we're here today, to make businesses safe and consumers feel safe. I want you to actually reflect on a time recently where you had a memorable service experience. Maybe it was when you went to get coffee, or you went to get groceries, or you went to the dentist. I don't know how memorable that would be, or getting your COVID vaccine. What were the steps that you had to go through? Was it a positive experience? One thing that when I think about my memorable service experience, I was away on vacation, pre-COVID, but down in Mexico, and we went to this all-inclusive resort. The service was amazing, but one of the things I'll never forget was when we stepped foot into that hotel for the first time, they had these sanitizer welcome mats, which I'd never seen before. And I remember then the person ushering us in, he said, "Hey, make sure you step on this before you enter." And just feeling, smelling the cleanliness of the place, and then feeling like you were almost like washing the bottom of your sneakers. It was like, whoa, this is something that I've never experienced before. And it really set the tone for my entire experience moving forward. We had a wonderful time, but delivering those types of experiences, it's not only enjoyable, but it leads to a customer recommendations. I'm talking about it with you right now, right? So that is the key for today. And as we move forward into a post-COVID economy, when we think about creative ways to make people feel comfortable, safe, and build our business and grow our revenue. A good example is really, we call this a service, right? We all know what a service is. But in 2021, our services aren't really divided by products and services. You have to start thinking about it as a whole. And that whole is the cycle of decisions, actions, and responses between the customer and the organization. And if done right, it garners repeat business. A good example is I walk my dog over to Dunkin' Donuts in the morning, and they have doggy treats for their customers that have dogs. Now, if you think about this in the sense of what we're looking at on the slide, is the company's decision to buy these doggy treats in bulk so that employees can take that action and give the doggy treat, allows the customer to have a positive experience, and their dog's happy. Their dog's happy. They're happy. I've got a coffee in my hand. And overall, what am I going to do? I'm going to turn around and tell all my friends who've had dogs and say, "Hey, this Dunkin' Donuts gives doggy treats." And what does that mean for the business? So let's start thinking about the certain touch points in our own businesses. I'd actually encourage you that if you have a piece of paper or a notepad and pen handy, to actually list them out. When we get things down on paper, it allows us it gives us this perspective of where there are opportunities to improve. And when we think about that, the Dunkin' Donuts example, where are the opportunities where we can maybe go that extra mile for a customer? Let's think about a scenario that describes, the situation that a customer may come to you. It can be real or it can be anticipated. An example of that would be, when I order food off a menu and I want to get pickup, or if I want to get it delivered. Think about the service or products you provide, and really, what is that experience for that particular user or customer? I'll just give you a minute there just to really think about that and soak that in, because we want to really understand, right, our user, our customer's journey. What is their motivation? Why are they trying? Why are they going to your business? How about the channels in which the interaction takes place? Are they walking through the door? Are they giving you a phone call? Or are they looking you up online? How about the actions, right? Maybe that is a phone call. Maybe that is making a reservation. And then the pain points. What are our customers facing before they even take that action? And what are they facing when they're really going through the experience with our business? And this is actually mapped out in many different ways if you look across the internet. I like to call it the customer journey, but what we're looking at here is just another example of a journey map. The term journey map, user journey map and customer journey map, they're used interchangeably, but they both reference a visualization of a person using your product or service. And what you see here is more of the digital touch points. And in 2021, in a time where we're reluctant, we want to make sure everything is perfect before we show up. I don't know about you, but even before I visit a restaurant, I want to make sure that the last 5 reviews were positive. And that's really where consumers' heads are at today. So if we're able to really think about those touch points and how we can make it as seamless for our user, then in the post-COVID world, we're already putting our best step forward, because that's what people expect. So for today, we're covering what is service design. And now, what does service design actually address? So it addresses pain points, right? We talked about this a little bit. Areas where the user may have a common complaint, a drop-off point in the service, or potential failures. These happen. I mean, we're running our businesses. We can't make sure every experience is perfect, but it's important where we actually, as you can see in the third column, take that feedback and then build on it. And when we can start generating, hey, what are we getting from these pain points and from this feedback? This generates business opportunities to save money, to possibly charge more. I mean, in the sense of that the resort down in Mexico, like, they could probably sell those welcome mats to businesses, or they could do something, they could monetize it. And then the strength section here, aspects of the business that should be maintained. All of these things, when we are more aware of these, this actually creates a competitive advantage. So why service design? Why am I sitting here talking to you about it? You may be thinking, okay, well, this is kind of common sense, Matt. The point of today is really to reinforce these ideas, because we can get so lost in our day-to-day and so caught up in everything that we have to do that it's important we almost take a step back, we collaborate with our other stakeholders, and we really take time to learn if there's any business opportunity. Because customer-centric companies, they really tend to be more profitable. And like I said before, there's a competitive advantage. These services that our company provides, maybe we're a restaurant and we serve the same food as the person down the street. What's going to separate you from the others? What is the customer coming to you for rather than your competitor? This is where, when we drill it down into, hey, these are our differentiators, we make the customer first. That puts you in a position to win in those one-on-one competitive situations. I love this quote because this is exactly reinforcing what I just said. More companies are realizing that delivering great care is not just the right thing to do. It also makes great business sense. This really, to me, is, I said this earlier, it's a matter of consumers expect this now. And there's a very high bar for consumers, especially coming off the year that we did. And the more that we can zoom out and see that our goods and our services are really our entire product, it's one experience. Think about a good example is Peloton. They're not only a stationary bike business, but they also are a service, right? You have to order online or over the phone. They deliver it. And then they also have a computer that they have to maintain, and they put lessons on how to ride that bike and how to keep you motivated. And then if it breaks, they also have support. So that product is more or less, it's a service. It's all the same now in 2021. And there's no real distinction between goods and services. And I see this a lot with my clients that I work with, and I help them with their marketing strategies. And when we sit down across the table, and traditionally it is when I'm speaking with decision makers and business owners and marketing directors, it seems like everybody's in their own lane, that's how it's always been. And the reason we're here today is to start thinking about ways that we can really make the entire experience without these silos. People in different departments really only see what's in front of them. People in retail, they're really only worried about the retail. Sales, only worried about making sales. The marketing people, only worried about the marketing. But think about the customers. Where are they in this picture? How are they experiencing all the different departments? Here's a real live example of a company that improved the Social Security service. They hired a user experience designer to really understand about what was paining their customers. What is paining them? And as you can see here, what they did, it was found that during the research phase that one of the primary pains was waiting time in the branch networks in order to perform services, which required in-person attention. So what did they do? They created a virtual payment method. They redesigned the middle office processes. And they even designed a new physical branch space. So what does that lead to? Well, they designed these things so that the wait time came down, the abandonment rate came down, more people use the electronic payment. That's something that's so relevant today, right? We need to have ways for our customers to pay in things other than cash. And their user satisfaction went way up. And once again, that's why we're here today. It is about the user and doing these things, designing these experiences so that it's more seamless for them. So how do we go about thinking about service design? Well, here are the 5 core principles of user experience. It's user-centered, right? That's why we're here, talking about the user's perspective. Co-creative. This is another great point, is we want to be speaking about these things with all the stakeholders in the process. You saw on previous slide that it was the silos of marketing, sales, retail, etc., coming together and brainstorming these experiences and visualizing them as a sequence of interrelated activities. Evidenced, this is our intangible services that are supported by physical or digital components, i.e. website or actual place of business. And then the holistic core principle, these are the entire environment. It is all encompassing. Now, in terms of thinking about that holistic approach, this is the approach that I take with all my clients at Matter Marketing and USA Today. I'm coaching people on how to think holistically, because in 2021, consumers have so many different ways to learn about your business and interact with it. You may not even know some of them. And that can be scary. Because if you can't control that experience, well, what does that mean? That means that there's something out there that may keep people from going to your business. So really, if you think about what we're talking about here, I call them the 5 Ps. People, where they're the employees. They're either indirectly or directly facing the customers. There's the place, the physical space, or the virtual environment. That could be the website. The prop, that's really used to produce the service, forms, signage, products, etc. And then the partner, the people behind the scenes. Who are we partnering with in the process? Really, that workflow and the rules that are followed to effectively deliver the service. So I'll give you the example of the resort down in Mexico. And I'll keep coming back to that because, once again, it kind of brings me back to a tropical place as I look out into dreary and cold Malden. So taking the decision to buy those welcome mats and sanitizer, the action of putting the sanitizer mats at the door and the customer's reaction to feel the cleanliness on the bottom of their feet and smell this clean scent. So the people are the employees who engage with the customers and they put the welcome mats out. The place is where the mat is located. The prop is the mat and the sanitizer. The partner is whoever they bought the mat or the sanitizer from. In the process that says, hey, let's have this welcome mat with a fresh dose of sanitizer at the door during our business hours. Here's another example of when you go to the doctor. These things are happening every single experience when we walk through the door of a business. Now I want to start thinking about your business, because businesses right now are leaving money on the table that aren't thinking about this. I'll give you a few minutes here. And if you have any questions or want to jump off mute, you can certainly do so. But I want you to think about the 5 Ps of your service experience. Any questions, Kevin?
Matt, we're saving the questions for the 3rd seminar, so we've asked people to do the Q&A feature. But if anything pops up that's immediately relevant, I'll be sure to chime in. Cool. Yeah, I know that there's, as basic as it may seem, I think this is a really good practice to really say, hey, when our users or customers are coming to us, who are they interacting with? Where are they interacting with us? What are the props, the forms, the signs? And then who are our partners that make these things happen as well? I'll give it another 1.5 minutes, but I think this is a good thing to settle on. I just got a new coffee mug today too, by the way. I wet my I'm a big plant guy. All right, cool. So now that we have your 5 Ps in front of you, let's dig in a little further to design what we call a service blueprint. Okay, hold on. I'm going to have to stop sharing and then reshare because I need to share the sound here. Okay.
Welcome everyone. The purpose of this video is to explain the steps in creating a service blueprint. First, let's review the key terms. Physical evidence, anything that the guest sees during their service interaction. Examples include the building exterior or the color of a website. Guest actions. So these are step-by-step interactions that the guests experience. These actions drive the blueprint. Examples include guests making an appointment or a guest paying for a service. On-stage contact employee. These are face-to-face interactions with a guest. An example is an advisor greeting a guest. Backstage contact employee. These are non-face-to-face interactions. So an example would be an administrative assistant booking an appointment for a guest over the phone. And finally, support process. So these are the systems that help carry out the guest interactions. Examples would include a booking system or an appointment scheduler. So now we will create a service blueprint for a student enrolling in a college program. This is the finished service blueprint. It is a blueprint of a guest making an appointment with a program advisor, applying to the program online, and then...
I'm going to pause right there. This screen can seem really overwhelming because this is the finished product. But when we think about when we collaborate with other stakeholders and really to understand each step of this is actually where a lot of great ideas and business opportunities come from.
And submitting her documents in person. Let's start from the beginning to understand how we created this. Remember to begin with the guest's actions. Let's take a look at what the guest does throughout the experience. First, the guest calls to make an appointment. Then the guest arrives at the campus. Then the guest speaks to an advisor. Then she applies to the program. Then she'll bring the documents to the registrar's office. And finally, the guest reads her letter of acceptance. So those are the guest actions during the enrollment process. When creating any service blueprint, it's important to start with the guest's actions. The next step is to focus on how the service company, in this case the college, can support each guest action. Let's look at the first guest action, call to make an appointment. So what physical evidence does a guest see when she makes an appointment? Well, they see the college's website to get the contact information. There's no onstage contact employee because the guest doesn't speak to anyone in person. They do speak to a backstage contact employee because they call and make a reservation through the phone. Finally, there is a support process because the appointment is saved and communicated through a software program. So now we have completed the blueprint for the first guest action. Let's move on to the next step. Now the guest arrives on campus. So for the physical evidence here, you're going to see the building, parking lot, interior, maybe the faculty. You might even see some students perhaps. But basically everything that you would expect to see when you arrive on a college campus. The physical evidence is the only interaction the guest has during this action. So now we can move on to the next guest action. The guest speaks to an advisor. So during this step, she will be in the advisor's office. So there'll be physical evidence of the office, the desk, even how she feels in the chair. Now this is the first step where the guest has on-stage contact with an employee. In this case, she actually speaks with the advisor face-to-face. Also, the appointment software system was used for the advisor to know of the appointment, so the support process was needed. That's it for this step. Let's move on to the next guest action. Looks like the guest had a good chat with the advisor, and now she's ready to apply to the program. She applies online in the student lounge, so there's physical evidence of the lounge and college website. And with the support of the application software, she can begin the enrollment process. The next step in the process is for the guest to submit physical documents to the registrar's office. Here the guest will see the office of the registrars. They will also have face-to-face or on-stage contact with the administrator. And there is an employee backstage that actually files and photocopies the documents. Finally, the process is being supported through a registration system. Finally, the last guest action is to read the letter of acceptance. The letter itself is physical evidence. There is backstage contact by the employee that actually mails the letter, and the registration system supported the acceptance of the student and the creation of the letter. Now that the blueprint is complete, opportunities to improve the guest experience can be analyzed. In this case, the guest is applying to a college, so it's likely that this is her first time on campus. The guest experience could be improved by the advisor greeting her when she first arrives. Here we can see the additional guest contact through a simple redesign. Now this is just one example of how the blueprint can be redesigned to improve the guest experience. Try blueprinting a service you are familiar with to find out redesign opportunities. Thank you.
Okay. So that was, I know that wasn't the most exciting thing because his voice is very monotone, but essentially what I want you to take away from that was really how these actions that are taking place in our businesses between the user, even before they show up, and how we show up in our business. And if you can map these things out, that like they found it was really an opportunity for you to greet the student when they came, the guest, when they came onto the campus. So
Welcome everyone. The purpose of
So it's really like, it's not groundbreaking stuff. Like this is like, we're basically just putting everything in front of us when it comes to thinking about the experience and trying to figure out and visualize the elements that are necessary for a delivery of a great experience. And that gives us the idea of like, hey, where are those potential gaps and service breakdowns that exist? That example, they really just said, okay, well, we can add another layer to this, or we can greet the guest as they come onto campus. So then we understand, the elements, not only, hey, we have to greet them, but who's going to greet them? Who's the employee that's going to take that action? What are they going to say? What are they going to do? What are they going to bring? Maybe they have a little goodie bag. And, this really helps us understand customer flows and interaction points for that experience validation. And it also gives us a really good map of all of the touch points and how they fit together. And if we change one, how does it impact the others? So I have in this slide deck a blueprint template as well. If you want to sit down after this, absolutely recommend trying it out yourself, because I can imagine watching that video, you're wondering what the hell is going on here. And at first look, like I said, it may seem complex, but if you start with that blank page and you say, okay, where are our customer, where are they coming from? What is their action? And then understanding each step along the way. Ask yourself, how can we change our current processes from these actions? What's happening front stage, in the back of stage, and what are the support processes? Towards the end, in the last couple of slides, I'll actually give you some ideas that Kevin and I have worked on ways that we can get, we can fit in more things that, may improve that customer experience. And like I said, I have blank templates. And if you're interested in doing your own service design blueprint, I'd be happy to actually help you through it as well. So I want to make myself a resource for you. Here's another example of the blueprint. One thing I just wanted to call out here is what we consider the swim lanes here. So you see the line of interaction, you see the line of visibility, and the line of internal interaction, which are very important because not everything that our businesses do happens in front of a customer. There's a lot of back-end processes. And then there's also internal interaction with the support processes. And then what we want to make sure of is that we're really mapping that physical evidence, right? The props and places that are encountered along that customer journey. You can see along the top. For this example, they visit the website. And where do they interact is the support. Then, we have to have someone respond to the questions, and that's happening backstage. Well, now the customer moves forward in their journey. They visit the store. They browse appliances and sales. Well, okay. Now they're at the store. There has to be an employee action, and they welcome it. So as we go through this, it's really, hey, what is the customer doing? What are we doing? What is that interaction with our business and our employees? And then in the backstage, what is happening to make this experience that's front stage go smoothly? Some people have order management systems, inventory management, With that websites, it's the analytics that are logging all the visitor data. Here's another example. And one of the big things that they found here, we mapped the entire clinic experience for patients and all of the supporting roles and the doctor, what they play throughout it. And mapping this service blueprint allowed us to see the breakdowns in the clinic experience. The backstage processes were too chaotic, and the system really depends on Dr. Kasem. So no one really engages with patients either while they wait. And it's little things like this that we have to really think. We have to put it on paper. Okay, here's what we're currently doing. And then think, hey, where can we improve these moments in our user experience? What I want you to do is you made a list of the 5 Ps earlier. You can continue to map that out, or thinking about your own business, thinking about your own customer journey, mapping each of those 5 Ps out. Because I really want to, if there's one thing you take away here, it's if we put these things down on paper and we start truly understanding how our customers are experiencing our businesses, then there are opportunities there to differentiate yourself, to grow your revenue, and ultimately lead to more recommendations by those customers. So things to consider now in a post-COVID economy. The following slides will have some things that you may already be doing, which is fantastic. Keep in mind, these are just idea starters. And once again, where these ideas fit in to this whole presentation and what you're learning today is ways that we can improve the customer experience. And really, what does the customer want today? They want to feel safe. And if feeling safe means maybe prominently displaying your cleaning protocols, the FDA, they have their policies and they're sharing information about best practices to operate retail food stores, restaurants, pickup and delivery services during the COVID-19 pandemic. Even if you're not a restaurant, imagine how much safer someone would feel in your office if they knew there was some sort of cleaning protocol in place. This goes back to my experience, which I think should be used even more now than ever, which today it's not enough to tell customers that you're maintaining healthy cleaning procedures, but taking the next step to reinforce your good cleaning habits with a fresh fragrance will ensure customers know your business is diligent in remaining clean. And this is my favorite one, the indoor plants. Giving off that greenery feel, a lot of people actually think, and I did some research before this presentation, was do plants actually clean the air? That is a myth. However, it gives off that perception. And although they don't clean it, if customers feel safe and they feel clean, they will most likely be back. Another great benefit from indoor plants that I learned was that they actually help employees stay engaged and they make them feel more lively. I mean, look at that. It looks beautiful. The other thing that we've been doing a lot, and I know your business probably is doing this already, but must be said, sanitizer has to be readily available, whether it's near the entrance or exit, bathrooms, even at the tables I've seen in some restaurants. You can't have too much of it in 2021. And I would encourage you to continue to use it, maybe think of creative ways or opportunities within your business to add it in other areas. Queuing lines, once again, same thing. I'm not too sure how much that people follow it. More or less, it's an opportunity for the people that are a little more hesitant to go out. I know that I was just in line at Trader Joe's. Like, they still do the 6 feet stickers, and these things are here to stay. I mean, this is the new normal. And it's important that we're taking these things into consideration. If we think maybe, okay, whatever, people don't care about this, like, there are people and there are potential customers out there that this is important to. And that's the purpose of this discussion. Same thing with plexiglass barriers. If it's a cashier, we want to have some plexiglass between them and the customer. A lot of businesses are doing this already, and most of it is because it is required by the state of Massachusetts. Start thinking about interest or opportunities for you to add plexiglass if there are, or maybe there's an area that you're like, oh, maybe I don't know, maybe that is an area where we should. People have asked, as we said earlier, that customer feedback, we can turn that into business opportunities. And then cleaning and disinfecting high touch areas. I know you're all cleaning, and I appreciate that. I think it's important to mention once again that even if you're in a business and you see someone cleaning, you do feel better about it. And it's certainly an opportunity that maybe in those high touch areas that you're not spraying them with cleaner, but they see that. And once again, we're giving off that perception of being clean and being safe. So remember, a service is a cycle of decisions, actions, and responses between the customer and an organization. And if done right, it garners repeat business. Something to think about as we move forward is really the difference between what we discussed today, which is that service blueprint and journey maps. Yes, they have plenty of overlap, and it's important to map out both of these experiences. But what we went over today was the processes behind each of the touch points that are on the journey map, right? We're talking about processes that our business can improve on or take that will improve that customer journey, that experience. Again, journey map, just the starting point in creating our service design blueprint. So some of the things I wanted to take away today that I thought was really important. Service design is it's the practice of improving our business for the benefit of all parties. Consumers, number one; employees, number one; partners, business. It requires a holistic approach, right? We're taking a step back to understand our entire environment and thinking about those 5 Ps that we discussed, including, we want to make sure we're including that entire ecosystem instead of just addressing those isolated problems. Service blueprints are the main deliverable of service design. I encourage you, try mapping out some of the services you provide and how those customer actions lead to the processes in which provide that user or customer that experience. You will find an opportunity there. Whether it's just adding more plants, that is an opportunity. Service design is more important today, especially in a post-COVID world, because we're entities. We're not just services. We're not just products. We are an entire environment that people engage with. And for next week, we will talk more about the stops along the customer journey. This is something that I coach businesses on every day. And I'm really excited to coach you as well and teach you as well when it comes to showing up online. And thank you very much.
Excellent. Matt, thank you so much for your presentation today. As Matt mentioned, we do have some more seminars coming up. The next is May 4th. We'll be discussing alternative revenue streams and better accessing social media as well as websites. And then on May 11th, we'll be taking your questions from these first two seminars and discussing overcoming obstacles to implementation. Thank you for joining us and hope to see you soon. Take care.